Hello, and welcome to this interview with Linda Troeller, one of our artists presently on display at the Alfa Art Gallery's current exhibition, Shifted Nature. We will be going over some of her artistic process, as well as the pieces that she's graciously contributed to both our physical and online presentations. And we'll start off pretty easy. Linda, how are you doing today?
Just fine.
Aside from being a photographer, you've also been a photographer's subject for quite some time. Can you talk about what it's like modeling for other photographers and what you learned by being the subject, and maybe how that translates into your own work?
I had the fortunate experience with being an assistant at the Ansel Adams Gallery during my MFA period. And they asked me to stay on for the nude in the landscape workshop, to be a model, not just for famous photographers, but for 40 students from all over the country. And this experience gave me firsthand knowledge of how Eiko Hosoi worked. He photographed angles and moved himself around the model, where Lucien Clerc, the famous French photographer, was so gentle with you and made sure you had a sweater and moved you around and let you sort of interpret the space. And then I had also all those 40 photographers running around photographing me. So I also had my little Leica on my shoulder and began to see that I like the intimate approach, that I like to call people into my world and work with them rather than find it. So this led me to do a lot of portraiture work and to focus on opening other people's dreams and visions through how I approach them.
Can you go over how your works explore the body, which is kind of an overarching theme in your photographs?
I didn't really know that it was about that too much until a couple of experiences. One was carrying heavy gear. I went to Cuba, I photographed Castro, I've done so many things. I was exhausted by working, so that I discovered this massage, and that was incredible how you can get in touch with your body. I also started a project in photographing hot springs, and in Mexico, the Indians at their natural springs, when the bubbles come up in the water, they take them and they put it over their heart. Everything comes from the body. But for me, it's like the primal place to explore. And I think it also tells us more about the great beyond, about our spiritual lives too.
Your works have a very introspective quality. Can you tell us how being photographed has impacted how you see yourself?
I would have to say that go back to another experience I had with being photographed by Sabine Kut. When other people photograph me, you learn a lot about yourself. And in her particular photographing of me, she took me around New York, following me in my daily path like a little deer, chasing me around, finding me, and I just was me. So, but when there's a click, like when you meet a person that it's right, there's this click, this moment, and that tells you a lot about yourself.
So, what inspired you to create the personal opera series, which is what we're currently seeing at the Alfa? And what do you think are some of the themes within it and even the meaning behind the name?
At 70, I had my 70th retrospective in Germany. And the collectors that organized it said, oh, well, we're going to have champagne and we're going to call it Birthday 70th. So I told all my friends in New York, oh, I'm really excited about that. And they said, oh, you're 70? How could that be? And I realized that, I had a lot of younger people in my life. I had been through a divorce. I missed a few years. And this idea of being 70 hit me. So although I had always done self-portraits, this made me sort of reawaken. And I wanted to work with textures and femininity and, kind of explore this idea that when you get older, you're not seen, but that you can have a good time. I made it into like a personal opera because I found the costumes, my voice is the music, and that's how it got its name. Because I wanted to call it organdy because I wanted to use all this see-through material, but nobody really understood that. And I do have a lot of young people interested in my work, and when they came over to my studio, I asked them about that organdy title, and it didn't really work out. So it fell upon personal opera. It's personal, and it's storytelling by an older woman with all those costumes and angles and the curtain closing and opening. I hope the curtain isn't closing too soon, though.
Also, kind of thinking and talking about clothing and things like that, some of your photographs, like Personal Opera 2 and Personal Opera 7, include things like veils or cloths that are obscuring the face. Can you talk a little bit more about why you made that choice?
It's hard to be an eldress. It's hard to be older. It's not the golden years. Spread that around. But it's a new venture. So obscuring my face, but being in beautiful places, that was sort of my reaction to, the change that was happening to my skin. My skin is so thin now. I'm different. So veiling was important in those two pictures. And the rainbow scarf, I'm sort of looking out and, I'm obscured, but I'm still looking out.
In Personal Opera number 3, we can see the ocean in just as much prominence as your figure. What were you trying to say with this photograph?
Make your pilgrimage to the ocean while it's there. I'm a South Jersey girl. I couldn't wait to get home from West Virginia University and split right over to the ocean. It's awe-inspiring. That little curtsy I'm making is one of really probably hundreds of thousands of people who are staring into the ocean. It is the first step of environmentalism, to be in awe and then do something about it. And I do have something coming up of a woman in front of a waterfall that gives off auric salts, and that's going to be in a show called Thinking About Water. So, what is that draws people to that ocean? Yes, we want to keep it clean, and I admire the people working on the salvaging of our environment, but there's also the just pure essence of living salt. It's just health.
In Personal Opera 9 and Personal Opera 10, your face is juxtaposed with the faces of 2 other women. Would you like to describe who they were and how they play side roles in your opera?
I will start this time, I guess, with the picture of Julia Margaret Cameron. So when I was beginning my teaching career, I organized a class on the history of women in photography. There weren't that many, and I had to write to them to get information. Now, I couldn't write to Julia Margaret Cameron because she's from the late 1800s, but she really set the stage because she had access, she got the cameras, she, stood out and braved her way. And I was at a party once where they had a lot of photo peoples with pictures. And I grabbed the one of Julia Margaret Cameron and put it next to my face. My wrinkled face. By then she was in her 40s, so we're not that far apart, but just to play homage to the past. I've been reading how, people are all making photographs and studying, and they're not all getting the history of photography. They've never even heard of her. And then from there, the next picture that I made is a current homage during this 70 to 72 phase of my work. And it's to Susan Sontag, one of our great critics, who warned us about the plethora of photos. She had no idea what was coming. Unfortunately, she passed away from cancer, and she wrote about health and the body. So I saw this picture on the cover of a magazine, and I thought, wow, what would it be like to be next to her, in homage to her? And I don't have cancer, but beat the odds of hanging in there and praising her. So at the same time, I have my face darkened because I'm still heading towards that mystery future that, you know, I could have 10, 20 years, but it's still going into the cloud of what's next.
Now, what feelings are you hoping to evoke in viewers through this series? Do you think viewers of different ages might be taking away different things?
I recently got some incredible insight from some professors on this blog called Academia EDU. I uploaded a lot of writing I did about my self-portraits, and one of the professors asked me about the mirror, why I didn't write more about seeing myself in the mirror. And that's something I'm going to spend more time about, although a number of my overall work does have reflections in mirror. It's also that when people look at a self-portrait of me, one of my compliments is that they don't always see like a narcissistic person. They like when they look at some of my portraits, they might see an imperfection that they want to perfect, or they might see a perfection that they can admire, they can think about, or a trauma that it's not just Linda, it's something more. You know, I try to give my self-portraits titles so that you know, it's another score of music, you might say, to my pictures. So, yeah.
Of all your works, which is your favorite, if you have one? Are there any you have a particular attachment to?
I am. I was very lucky somewhere to get a hold of these giant eyelashes, and I enjoy making pictures when I'm around friends. I get invited a lot of places during festivals, and you know, I put them on. I really wanted her. I was going to photograph her in them, but she didn't like it, you know. So I put them on me, and it was like, yes, this is that extension out to the world. This side of me that can project and feel good about myself and clutter myself around. And it points out something about my eyes. I was really gifted by my parents. The genes from two brown-eyed, very small-eyed people for me to end up with these violet green eyes. These eyes that so many people since a child said, oh, such beautiful eyes. I mean, many times. But they're the eyes that I use to see, to take all kinds of pictures. And they're really, because they're light, people like go inside my eyes, and then I can reach them. So, you know, it's a great gift for me. I didn't know I would be a photographer until I was 20. So my eyes were for a lot of other things, and they've never stopped being for that.
How has the COVID-19 pandemic reshaped your process, if at all? Has it impacted your work in any way?
In the self-portrait project, it's about me, and I'm here in my house, isolated. I left my New York City apartment for this summer house, which is larger and has nature around it, which was already a shock. And I've started making self-portraits here that are reacting to, for example, me with high heels. There's no need for them. There's no life for them. Making pictures of myself with the mask, without the mask, putting flour in my hair because I thought I would make myself look white. This was last March. And now I let my hair grow out and I am white. So, yeah, it's a process of isolation that turns out I'm not the only one who has to turn into themselves in this isolated life. And so therefore I have a lot of material to work with.
Thank you so much, Linda. I don't have any more questions, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, feel free to share. Anything you might have thought of during the interview, any projects that you're working on in the future?
I have some shows coming up. I have this show, Thinking About Water, and I also am the executive producer of a film, which you can go to healingwatersfilm.com. And I'm in the process with the director in reimagining that Healing Waters work. And soon, over this year, I'll have a picture from my Chelsea hotel at Soho Photo in New York. So it's a time now of getting the work into the audiences.
Well, we can't wait to see more work from you, Linda. Thank you so much for speaking with us, sharing your insight. In the meantime, anyone who wants to see Linda's work, you can look in the description of this video and see more about the Alfa Art Gallery, about Linda, where to see her other work, where to see her work currently at Shifted Nature. And Linda, once again, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Chris.